Hello. Good night to y'all. It's night. It's dark. So tonight I am sharing another mental health update because I had my psychiatry appointment and I want to share again the current struggles that I'm having. So I am essentially unmedicated. My conditions are considered uncontrolled right now. So that basically means that my conditions, my emotional state is as pure and raw as we're going to get. I'm really rather honored that I have this opportunity in my life right now to be in the stage of basically being unmedicated so that I can document this and share and show how this looks so you can hear how it sounds, basically so I can serve an example, at least my example of what my conditions look like, but ultimately like mental health, what we struggle with, what it looks like. Oh, sorry, my phone took a dive. So I put up some videos about, I put one video up about depression and one video up about anxiety. On those days of depression, I was really struggling with my depression that day. So that's pretty pure. And then the anxiety, same thing. I was in a very anxious state relatively. And I really wanted to capture those. So I took those times to capture them, not only for myself for future reference, but more importantly for you watching, whether it be for yourself or if these remind you of somebody who you know, or if you're just fascinated or curious or bored. I don't know your reason for watching this, but I hope it at least raises awareness for whatever reason you watch my videos. I want to educate those to see and to hear from at least my example of mental illness. Because I know, like, I found myself reading whenever I was discovering more about mental illness, specifically my conditions once I was diagnosed in 2018. I can read all the books. I can read all the memes. I can look at all these group discussions, but I need like an example. I'm a very visual person, and I believe everybody, no matter what your primary learning method is for yourself, I do believe visuals, and especially live visuals, really help. So I'm hoping to illustrate that for you. And so right now my journey, again, I'm basically unmedicated. So from here, my psychiatrist and I were able to start me officially on the medication that I need. We have a good idea of what my conditions actually look like. I'm working on decreasing my sleep deprivation now that my sleep apnea is being treated with my CPAP machine at night. And I need, even then, like, I'm not perfect with that. Like, I've shared in videos, like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and my mask is on the floor. Like, I don't know what I'm doing in my sleep, but it's on the floor and I'm not using it for those hours. So, whatever Lily's doing in her sleep, I don't know, but she doesn't have her CPAP and she needs to keep it on. So that is the first thing my psychiatrist emphasized to me, is how much I need to sleep with my CPAP consistently every night. I can't skip a night, because on the nights that I skip, I put my brain back into fear mode, because what happens with sleep apnea is my brain doesn't have the opportunity to go into the REM and deep sleep cycles that our bodies need to go through for restoration and for our own health, holistically. So if I skip a night, it puts my brain back into that fear mode. And even more so because, like, if you're getting help consistently and then all of a sudden that help is lifted, you're like, what the heck? You not only have that happening, but then you have the expectation of it being better. And when that expectation is lifted, it sometimes makes whatever you're going through worse. So I have to stay consistent with it. So that's the first thing. And I'm doing really well with that. Thankfully, I have the support of my husband. So partners, spouses, if your partner needs a CPAP, make sure that they get that every night, because that's not just for them to sleep, it's for them to be healthy, emotionally and physically, mentally and physically. So, bravo to my husband for allowing me to do that, and supporting me in that way. So that was the first thing we covered, my psychiatrist and I, in our appointment this week. And then we talked about my symptoms, how I'm feeling. And this is one of the things I really, really love and appreciate about my psychiatrist. And I really hope the world of psychiatry is able to do just by default, is what my psychiatrist does. Because now that we have this picture of what my conditions truly are, I asked her, so what are my labels? What are my conditions? And she did start off saying that she doesn't like to go by labels. She treats symptoms, not labels. But for the sake of insurance, she diagnosed me with PTSD, and I do also have CPTSD, chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, with depression and anxiety. And that's for insurance purposes. And, you know, I'm not a psychiatrist, but what I'm assuming is a lot of psychiatrists will put a label because that's easier for insurance and paperwork purposes, for insurance to cover and to document things. But my psychiatrist, she labels for the sake of treating my symptoms, to get me the medicines that I need and what insurance is going to cover. So she's treating my symptoms, which is amazing, you know, and this is part of how I'm finally getting the help that I actually need. So what we're doing is I'm on Zoloft, and like I've said before, I'm on 50 milligrams and have been for about 2 months just to get that in my system. 50 milligrams is nowhere where I need for my conditions. So what we're doing is we're increasing me to 75 for 2 weeks, and then 100 milligrams for another 2 weeks. Then we're going to see from there how I'm doing. It might not be enough. So we'll see. It's a slow process. So I'm really grateful that we're finally at the point that I'm done with the withdrawal. Yay! And thank you to everybody who's watched, encouraged me, and supported me through my withdrawal. I'm really happy that I can offer that example to you so you can see it and hear it for what it is. And you know, it's a relief to know it's past. It's kind of like when I was pregnant with all my babies. If you've ever been pregnant and you've been sick and you get that sense that like the morning sickness is done. Like I was so sick for the first 18 weeks straight. Like I lost 15 pounds my first 18 weeks with my first baby because I was that sick. And then around 18 weeks, I noticed like it just seemed to cease a bit. And it was just such a relief to know I'd been through that. So that's kind of how I feel with being post withdrawal. So, again, I want to thank everybody who helped me get through that. Now I'm struggling with my emotions because, again, my conditions are pretty much pure, and it takes a while for, a lot of, medicines for mental health conditions to actually start working, like that you can actually notice differences because it has to get in your system. And so that's kind of that's my biggest frustration currently, is that it's going to take time to feel better. So, and it's just really hard to go through this right now. What I'm struggling with most, and I mentioned this in my CPAP versus no CPAP video right before this one, is that I'm really struggling socially. So if you haven't heard from me, or you hear from me and then I ghost you and then I get back to you, that's not you. That is totally me. And that is an illustration of mental illness. I really think that's how some people were like, we don't know why. Yeah, I am going to mention the word suicide. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just mentioning the word. Why? And it makes me think of this. I noticed that a lot of people who are victims of somebody who unfortunately felt they had no other choice, they'll post a picture like this was them the day before, and they're so happy and enjoying it, and that's a great day. And then the next day they're gone. That's mental illness. And I can say that we don't choose that. So it's really hard. Like today for me is a good day. But if you see in my depression video and my anxiety video, those were really rough days. And those were just a few days ago. So while I'm raw with my conditions, I try my best to have good days. Some days it's just too overwhelming. Days like today, I feel awesome. And it's hard. That's all I can say. It's so tough. So a big thing that I'm struggling with recently is socially engaging with people, and I want to socially withdraw. And I want to share this. One of the reasons I socially withdraw, and this, I become a lot more conscious of what I'm going through my mental health journey and learning more about my mind and other mental health conditions the past few years. So, and it's additionally kind of frustrating, but different kind of frustration I deal with. So in my head, on one side, I know rationally what's going on. Like, I have a message and I need to respond to it. And I really want to engage with this person or these people or like my kids or my husband. And it's all there and I have the ideas and I can make sense of it. But at the same time, I'm struggling with it. I don't know how to get myself to do it. It's not lack of motivation. It's just, I can't even describe it, but like, I can't do it. So on one side of my head, I know I can, and I want to, but the other side of my head is fighting that. Like, I can't bring myself to do it. And then I just don't. And it's kind of like, I'm like paralyzed in my life. Like those, I don't know, for those of you who have seen like antidepressant medicine or anti-anxiety, like bipolar, medications, or just, I shouldn't say anti, but medications that help those conditions, to help relieve those, of the person basically like standing behind the window, wanting to play with their kids or go out with their friends, but they're stuck behind this window and they're like, oh, I really like want to, and they're sad. And then they take the medication and woo, they're playing, they're going out, they're having coffee, everything's great, and the sun is shining and they're smiling and all the colors happen to be brighter in the commercial. Being behind that window glass is kind of how I feel. Like I'm there, and yeah, I'm mentally I'm there, but I just can't bring myself to do anything. Like, I'm paralyzed is how I can best put it. So that's what's going on in my head. And I really want to share that. I know it might not be like the best clarification, but that is the best that I can come up with right now to describe what's going on in my head. And this could be anxiety. Like I'm fighting myself, and then I find myself kind of like snowball. It's kind of like a snowball effect, but like I get frustrated at the fact that I have this little fight going on in my head, and then that makes me more frustrated, more anxious, more depressed, and it just like, you spiral, you go down the rabbit hole. And I'm hoping to get out of that. And this is all part of, like I was saying, like being overwhelmed so easily. Like I've noticed that I've been like ruminating over thoughts I normally wouldn't. I'm taking things really personally when I normally wouldn't. And I'm like, I haven't felt this way since, and I think about it, I'm like, before I was on a medication level that worked for me. So that, I'm not pushing medication on y'all, but sometimes, yes, medication really can help. And I know I'm personally looking forward to it. I get frustrated at the amount of things I want to do. And it's not that I'm apathetic. It's not that I don't want to do things. I feel like I can't, and I can't really explain it. But I'm at this stage within my mental health journey of being conscious, being aware of what's going on in my head that I can share with you now. And how I want you to see as you follow along with my, with Six Petal, if there are changes with me as my medication is increasing, as I'm continuing to work out, as my diet hopefully gets better, just all these other factors in life, the more I'm going to therapy and continued consistent therapy, all these other factors, I want to see changes in me. If you do or if you don't, and you know what, go ahead and share that. I appreciate that. And then it also helps other people see that. And again, this is a journey. It never ends, and we're always changing. So I'm hoping I'm changing for the better, and that I'm able to share this with you and you can observe it. But for now, I hope that this video today helps explain the social withdrawing and also offers you a picture of what my mental health journey is looking like and progressing. Go ahead and comment, send me messages. I love hearing from y'all. All right, have a good night.